Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host Hamza Salim and welcome to lecture 1 in Quran project Mushaf Altahjud project. This is the target from the first lecture. In the first lecture, as you see, we will verify all the installation. As you remember, we have the intro, and the intro have some requirement that you have to achieve before you entering and take the access for the second or the first lecture. Or the second step. The roadmap today, we will verify all the installation, we will clone the project using Git, and we will know what's Git, and we will go in further to know what's its Git, and we will open the project and understand the architecture for the project itself. Also, we will have some discussion about Git and Bitbucket, and also we will install Ionic and create our first application, and we will using Ionic as a web developer. Okay. As you know, this is not an Ionic course. This is also not an HTML and CSS basic course. This is a course to learn how to deal with projects. So, in a kind of these courses, we are focused mainly on putting you in a situation that you will work with teams. So the problem with all tutorials around the world or in general, they're focusing on the individual skills. For example, you will not dealing with Git and you will not working with Git as a team. You will work with Git as only one person. And this is a huge problem sometimes for a lot of developers, because when they entering any job, you will not work alone. You will work with a lot of people. So you are not technically ready for let's say entering any company. So in general, in this kind of tutorial, we are trying to prepare you to be a part of the team. So before entering the real project with us and working with like the final version, we need to make sure that you're ready for that. So this is the requirement that you need. We have like a preparation lecture, and this is one of the preparation lecture to prepare you to enter the project in general and expand your skills. As you remember, this is the first intro or the welcome message. We have these links to install. And in general, as you see, I'm using Firefox. So I installed Firefox. You need to install Firefox as a browser. You need to install Notepad++, and as you see, this is the Notepad++. It's an editor for the code, and in the future we will install Visual Studio Code, but in general now we are using Notepad++. So you have to install Notepad++ and make sure it's working. Okay, and also you need to install Node.js, and you need to install Git. And as I remember, we forget to mention Git in the slides, so you need just to click on this and install it. Now we need to verify what you have installed. So like browser and Notepad++, you can open it directly, but to verify what you install npm and Git, you need to go to the search and write cmd or the terminal. In the terminal, you will have this screen. As you see, write npm and write enter. You should have the same result that I have. That means that the Node package manager is ready to install. What's npm? npm is a package manager. What's the meaning of package manager? In general, as in the internet, if you want to install something, you will install it using the browser. You will go to the browser and you will download it. But in general, as a developer, we have our own tool using the command line. The command line, it can make the stuff more easy and fast. For example, the Node package manager, here you can install all the packages that you want to work with. So you're not going to a browser and write all the stuff to install it. You will write it as a command. So Node or the package manager is something to make the developer life easy. Okay, so now we know that we have installed the Node package manager. And as I understand, you must focus on Node, installing Node. For example, now I open the Node. Don't install the current version, install the LTS or the latest version. So this is more stable and you will not have any problem with it. But both of them, it should work for you. But in general, this is just a recommendation. So now we have installed npm. What's the next for us? The next for us is installing Git. And after you will go through the link in Git, you will just go for Git for Windows and you will install it. And after it, you just go, okay, now I want to make sure that I install Git. You write Git, enter, and you will have this result. If you have a different result, for example, Git is undefined, Git, it's a keyword, it's not defined, or for example, npm, this is like mean that you didn't install it. So you need to make sure that you pass this at least to continue with us, because all of this, the next stuff depending on npm and Git. Okay, so let's back. We have verify all the installation. This is the first one. Second one, we need to clone the project using it. What's the meaning of the clone? Clone is mean copy. So in general, when you go to GitHub, this is the link for the project and it will be attached also to this lecture. When you go to GitHub, you need to install this. In general, without knowing what is Git, you will go here and download. But in general, as a developer, we are not working in that way. The thing that you need to work in the Git process. So the Git process is cloning the project without downloading it, like in the regular base. You will download it using the command line. So we have a command called git clone. Okay, git clone mean like, okay, I will give you a resource and you will install it for me on my device. But make sure that before you git clone, in the terminal here, as you see, we are in C user, my username. So I expect that you have the same. So you need to make sure like make directory. This is one of the command that you will make another directory for yourself, and let's say it's Quran project, for example. What's the meaning of this comment? That's meaning that make a directory called Quran project for me, and I will use this file. For example, how to make sure that this file is working, I will write cd, like enter this file, Quran, and I press only tab here. I can press tab and it will continue the word for me. Now, if I will press enter, this is like, what's the meaning of this? Now the terminal that I have inside this project. Now I want to make sure that this file exists. This is an empty file. For example, this is we created an empty file. Here we enter the empty file. Now we are inside the empty file. Okay, let's go inside this and see it if it exists. Where is the file? Here it should be something like, yes, Quran project. This is the project. So now I have an empty file and the empty file is ready. Now I want to install the project inside this project, inside this file. So I will do git clone. And now what's git clone? I will go and take the link of this thing. But should I take this link? No. You will take a link here. Okay? This link. And this link, as you see, in the end of it, it's called git. So this is the link that Git will understand it. So you will go here and take a copy, and here you will do a paste. And here you're cloning the project. What's the meaning of cloning? If you will enter here, you will find the project itself. So here you have installed the project. You have installed the project on your PC. So let's go to the lecture. What we have cloned the project and we install it. Now we want to understand what is the project. So as I understand, now we have installed everything. We have the project on our PC. We used Git to clone it. Now we will open the project and we will see what's the project inside. So as you see, this is an Ionic project. Now we will go through Ionic and we will see what's the architecture for Ionic. Ionic is a framework, but Ionic is a framework to write a mobile application using web development language. So now we will use in this project, we will use in the beginning, we will use Ionic as a web platform. What's the meaning of web platform? Web platform like Angular, like React, like all the web platform. But I'm using Ionic because it's very easy to understand. Maybe this is the easiest framework exists now for anyone who's a beginner to enter web development. So I'm saying this, why? Because Ionic is building with a first version from Angular. It's called AngularJS, and this language is very easy to start with it. And I recommend for anyone who want to get involved with web development to start with Ionic and not Ionic 4. For example, now we have Ionic 4, we have Ionic 2, we have Ionic 3. I prefer to go with Ionic 1 because it's very easy, and now we will see that. So the project, as you see, here is the full project. What we will have like work with, we will have the www. This is the main application that we have. So to see what's the project is, you can go to the index file and open it using Firefox. As you see here, maybe like you can call like open with depending on your PC. Here you will go and open it using Firefox. And as you see, you must have something like this. You must have this project. You must have this UI. And this is the main UI for the project itself. So this is Quran Altahjod or Mushaf Altahjod project. So now we have like 4 surah. This is like the initial project for anyone to understand all the stuff. And the main version, when you will enter like the team, you will see all the stuff inside. So now we have like Surah Al-Baqarah. This is the architecture, and as you see, what we are doing here, we're taking this application and trying to convert like to the main version. This is the main version of Quran Tahajjud online. This is the PDF version. What we are doing technically, we are taking copy from this, and just we are coloring the stuff. So Quran Altahjod, it's like a project that we have a PDF file and we are converting it to HTML and CSS easily, and we have some, let's say, rules to convert it because we want to extend it to be like more extended to other stuff, because this project inshallah will have like different path in development, and we want to make sure to make it right from the beginning. So as you see here, like the PDF version, and this is the application version. So this is the initial version that you have. So what we have now, let's see in here. So we open the project and we want to understand what is the architecture. Okay, let's go through the project in general. Any web application in general have this same architecture. We have an index, we have something called sometimes template, views, whatever. We have some library, we have a JS code, we have images, and we have CSS. So this is the main architecture for any web platform. But in Ionic, it's little bit different. Let's go through the like the project itself. As you see here, Ionic in general, it's a single page application. And what's the meaning of this? As you see, when I'm going, I will open it like this. When I'm go through all the stuff, technically we are inside index.html. And inside index.html, there's something here changing. Let's open it and let's see. If I will enter Surah Al-Kahf, you will see like, okay, it's ab 18, like there is some number, something like this. Okay, and here we have like 2. So now our job is understanding how the architecture for this application is working and why why it's like this, and what's like the design pattern for Ionic. What I mean about design pattern in general in development or any like framework that we have, there is some design pattern for the project itself. So the project is not just like pages and you will go through all the pages. It have some kind of, let's say, preparation, let's say structure or architecture, and from this architecture you can understand everything. So in general we have an index file. Open it both, open it in Firefox and open it in Notepad++. You will have this file. Okay, great. In this file you can understand what's used in this application. So as you see here, we have like a JS file. What's the important for us? We have both these files, the app.js and controller.js. These the most important file in any project in Ionic. So any project in Ionic have these files. Okay, let's go through it. But in general, let's go here and see what we have. In this project, we have 4 pages, as I understand. We have Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Isra, Surah Al-Kahf, and Surah Maryam. And like the structure of the project is very easy. We have every page, and every page have some HTML and CSS and coloring. So this is the main thing that I have. So, and we have app.js and controllers.js. Let's go to the JS file and find these files, app.js and control. Let's open it and see what's the app.js and what's the controller.js. Okay, maybe I should close the stuff before. Okay, as you see here, I have the index file and I have an app and I have a controller.js. So in general, to understand how Ionic is working, you should understand the main file. The main file called app.js. App.js, we call it like the main file because this is like the main map for the whole application. As you understand, Ionic is a framework built by Angular. So this structure is the Angular structure, AngularJS to be specific. And this stuff, for example, this function is related to the mobile application. And this function is like the main, like the naming for the function. What we will work with this function, and this function is called the configuration. And the configuration, it's like the map for everything. Now we will understand what is the architecture for this project. As you understand, we said that, okay, this project is easy. We have like 4 pages or 4 files, and we are entering each file and we want to see what is it. So in general, we have something like the main thing. We have something called state, and this state, it's like each page have a state, and this state have some attributes. For example, in this, the first state is called app. As you see, the first state called app, and app have some URL and app URL, and have something very important called abstract. Abstract, if it's true, this is the meaning of this is like this view. This is the main view. This is the main view from this architecture. So as we understand, this is the main view. Okay, and we have something called template URL. So what's the template URL? And it's called menu. Now we will go and see what is templates and menu. Let's go to the template. Here we have file template, and we have a lot of files. And as you see here, we have templates and menu. So what's menu? Okay, let's open this using the HTML or Notepad++ and see what we have. Okay, we have some structure, a weird structure for a menu. So in general, now you will start understanding what's Ionic for. Ionic is a framework that help you to create an applications with a template. So what we are using in this particular project, we are using template called side menu. And now we will see what's side menu, and we will go through what is the side menu, what's the originally project, how it's working. So as you see here, the word al-fahras is exist here, and word left is exist here. So as I understand, ab is the main thing. Ab is the main thing that we have now. So okay, now I understand, like, okay, now I understand this is the main thing that we have now. This is the main thing that we like, this is the main view that we have. Okay, we open menu and see what's menu. Okay, let's go to the code app.js and continue. Okay, so what we have here, we have like a different, we have like a different state. So we have a state called playlists. So what's this playlist thing? Okay, let's see. If you open the project in the beginning, like if I will do refresh here and open the project, you will find the main page called playlists. So this page is the main page that we have. So as I understand from the link up, playlist, it's the main page that we have, or not the main page, the home page. We say app, it's the main structure for it. App, template menu, this is the main structure. But playlist is the main home page. Like this is the home page. When I am go, like when I do so only refresh, this is the main thing that I have. And because I have only one page called Al-Fahras, it's the home page. So this is the playlist page. Okay. So this is the playlist page, and we have like playlist HTML. Let's open this playlist. Focus. We have playlist and we have playlists. So this is the thing that we want. This is unused. Now we will see why it's not unused. And we will open it. And you will see something weird like, oh, item, ng repeat, I don't understand anything. Now we will understand everything, but like like take it easy, and you will see it's very, very easy to understand. So now we have playlists. So what's playlist thing? So as I understand, this page give me Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Isra, and Surah Al-Kahf, and I don't understand. Where is this? It's not here. So what's happening here? As you see, there is something called here ng repeat. And of course, at least to understand like the basic of the programming, you know, there is something called for inside any like programming language. And for is like the simplest thing about repetition. So you need to repeat something. So as I understand, in logic, I'm not saying in any language. It's not like I'm not saying like, oh, go and understand this. I'm saying this in logic. You can go and like take the essential part in AngularJS and review it alone. But in general, I'm saying this in logic. So ng repeat is something like repetition, but repetition for what? As I understand from this, it's like a for loop. And here we are saying like, okay, this is this element called ion element. This is something like any HTML tag. So you can have a head one, you can have paragraph, but here called ion item. So ion item is like the main item that have been like repeated. So we have ng repeat playlist in playlists. So they're saying like, okay, repeat this from this. Okay, let's see what's playlists. So to understand the structure of Ionic application, it's like the Ion application. As you see here, we have something called template URL, and this is the HTML that you have. But we have also something called controller, and controller is the JavaScript that control this. So now you know that, okay, in this part of the application, we have a JavaScript and we have an HTML, and the main job for the JavaScript here is controlling the HTML. And as I understand from only the logic, I have in this project, we have Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Isra, Surah Al-Kahf, Surah Maryam, and I don't see this stuff. So this stuff coming from a place. So what's this place? This will be the controller. So what's the controller? Controller in general in AngularJS we have an HTML and we have the controller, and the controller is the thing that we will control the HTML. Where should I see the controller? You will take this and Control C or copy and go to the file controller. Go to the JS and open this file using Notepad++ and Control F, Control V and search about it. Okay. Now we have some logic. Now I understand something without any knowing of anything. Guys, I'm not giving you the basic of AngularJS. I'm giving you a logic. This is a logic. Now I'm seeing like, okay, this controller have this thing and this thing called playlists. And because of the app.js have template URL and controller, okay, these stuff are connected. Because of the connection, anything I will declare here in the controller.js, I can use it in playlists. In logic, I took playlists as an array, but this is an array for object. Each one is an object. This object have title and have an ID. So this is the ID, the number of surah, and this is the title. And if I will go to menu, so in menu, in playlists, I will see okay, what I have here. I have a playlist in playlists, and here I just pull the title. So let's try something else. I will change this just to understand everything. Here playlist.id, and if you will go to controller, you have playlists dot title, and I will do something else. I will say okay, playlist.id and save it. Okay, let's see what will happen here. What I did, guys, I just changed playlist.id and do a refresh. So now I have the number. So now I understand, okay, this is a for loop called ngRepeat. It take all the objects from this controller, this playlists, playlist array, and taking all the object, and I can call the title or the ID of it. So I can change this, and let's try something I can put IDD, for example. But IDD here, it's not existed. So what's the result will be? Here there is no IDD for each object. Okay, let's do it and see what will happen. If I will do a refresh, there is nothing here. So there is, now we will understand, okay, now we have an array, and this array have ID and have title. If I want to declare any new surah, the main requirement for me is putting an ID and putting a title for it. So before we will understand, or before we will go through creating our first surah, or at least creating the first HTML and understand what is it and how it's working, now we know okay, the project have some for loop, and this for loop fill of the data from here, and I can create my first surah. Okay, let's assume that, okay, we will create our first surah. Take this copy, Control C and Control V, and let's say which surah we will have. For example, Surah Taha. Okay, and we will say, okay, what's the ID of the Surah Taha in Quran? I don't know, but let's see. Surah Taha number. Okay, so it's 20. So I will put the number of it, the ID of it, it's 20. So if I will save this, what will happen in the project itself? I will refresh this. Now I have Surah Taha. But look, guys, now if I will enter to Surah Taha, I cannot enter. Why? But if I will enter Surah Maryam, I will enter. Why? Now we will understand. Now we created a new array, like a new element in this array. But technically, we didn't create any HTML. We didn't create like a controller for it. So we didn't create anything. So the main thing before creating any surah here, we need to create a page for it. So how we can create a page for it? Before we create adding it to the playlist, we must create a page for it. As you see here, I can, like, if you can look to this, you can understand everything without anything. For example, every surah have a state, and the state, it will be something like this. For example, Surah Al-Baqarah, if I will enter Surah Al-Baqarah is number 2 in Quran, so we have it as a number 2 here. So it's very easy for me to understand, like, oh, okay, so this is the main thing. Okay, so if I want to create a new surah, I will just copy any surah from here, copy the state itself, and just declare the number for it. For example, here, app.20, right? And URL, you need to create app.20. Okay, this is the URL that you will see it here. If you remember here, this is the app URL. And in a view, you need to create a new file in the template called 20 HTML. So as I understand now, I need to go to file template, the file that we have in the project called template, and I create another surah. And I'll create another file. So you can create an HTML, but I prefer the most easiest thing. Go and copy one of the files and call it 20, and go inside it, edit, go inside it as edit, and delete all like the previous stuff, and just say Surah Taha, Surah Taha, and just like you will put like the title for it, and Control V, save. Now I created the file. If we will go to the app.js, now what I did, I created the state. This is the state mean, okay, I create a page, but where is the page? The page exists in template. And as you see, guys, we still didn't create controller, and I don't want to go through the controller thing. Let us be inside this like this specific term. We will not go through controller for each surah. We are not just go we just understand what's controller work, because now we don't use controller for each surah, but we will use it in the future, inshallah. So now I created the file, I created the state, and also I created the file. So now I created two things, state and a file, and the file I go and edit it and put the name of Surah Taha. So now I can go to the playlist file, and go to the controller of the playlist and add Surah Taha, right? Now it should work, right? Because like Surah Al-Baqarah have the same, have a state, have a page, and everything is good, and have an ID. So save it and go here, Fahras, and do a refresh, and I will go and I will have Surah Taha. So now I understand how the Ionic template is working. So the first thing to understand now, we understand the app.js, the controller.js, how it's work, how to add a new surah, and how to add a new HTML. And this HTML is the control, like here we can add anything we want. Like if I will save this and do refresh, inside this, it should give me like what I wrote. So now I understand the architecture. Now I'm ready to create my first surah. So as I understand, guys, now we understand the architecture, but still we didn't start working with the project. So in general, now you're using, this is like only a general point. We are using Git, okay? And there is a GitHub, and also another good point. Git is not a GitHub. Git is the service. GitHub is a website. Okay, GitHub, we are using GitHub because it's free. There's another free project, we will migrate for it and we will work with it, called Bitbucket. So what's in your task now, to create a Bitbucket account and send your email for me, and you will be added in the future to the main project. But in general, now we are using GitHub. You install using GitHub and everything is good. In the future, you need to create an account on a Bitbucket website, and Bitbucket is the same GitHub, but it's private. Okay, so now we added our new Sora and everything is good, and now we will look to Ionic itself. Before going through all the stuff, you need to understand why we are using Ionic and why I need from you to create your own knowledge in Ionic. So let's go and see what's Ionic is like. Ionic framework. Ionic framework. Ionic framework, as you see, okay, I just entered, yeah, okay. Ionic framework, as you see, it's a framework for mobile development, but here we will use it for a web development. And as you see, Ionic, it's very easy and very like, I will say it like very powerful. But here you need to install Ionic. And how we will install Ionic? We will install Ionic using the npm. Now we will see like why we install, why we started with npm. Install Ionic npm. Install. And let's see what's the command that we will have. Okay, go and here. Install Ionic. This is the command to install Ionic. You will click this and go to the terminal, any terminal, you can write cmd and go here and just give npm install -g Ionic and you will click enter. Because I have Ionic, what you will have to do, like what you will see if you installed Ionic, you should wait to install all the stuff in Ionic. Now I close it because I have Ionic before. So I open the CMD again and write, to make sure that you installed Ionic, write Ionic. And it should give you, if it's not installed, it will give you like, oh, this keyword is not existed. But if it's installed, it should give you like, okay, this is installed and everything is good, and you can work with it directly. So in general, now, yes, because it's installed, everything is good, and we will see. The thing that I will require from you now, it's creating a project in Ionic 1. Create project in Ionic 1. Now we will see how to create a project using Ionic 1. Okay. So Ionic, creating a project, installation, starting your app. Like, okay, installation. Let's go through it. Install, and this one. This command is to create a new app using Ionic with Ionic 1. So what I like recommended for you, now you need to do some like work with Ionic to understand at least how it's working. Ionic is very easy. For example, I will go and taking this as a copy, and I will go to the CMD, not inside our project. Let's open another CMD, and paste it, but don't hit enter because I will change something. Here, as you see, Ionic start, this is the main thing. This is what's the name of the project itself. Let's call it to do one. And this is the type. In type, we don't use a blank. Blank is empty. We used something called side menu. Okay? And the type, we will use Ionic 1. And you will press enter. So what will happen now? it will create a new project for Ionic called to do one. The type of it is side menu, and its type, the main type is Ionic 1. Press enter. It should work and it should give you something like this. And now we will go to the file itself and make sure that it's working. Okay, let's go here. It's our project. Let's open another file not to lose the project itself. Go on for C. Okay. Now it's very slow. Okay. Here, users, file. We have a new file called to do one. And this is the Ionic project. But check here. Now it's installed. So we have installed the first project for us in Ionic with one command, and everything is created from scratch. And as you see, I will open it just to see what's the project that we started with it. And this is it, guys. This is the project that we have started with it using Mushaf Altahjod. This is the same project. This is the same project. This is the starter. And in general, if you will work with web, you will work with the starters. So you need to make sure that you will understand the architecture. Nothing built from scratch. Okay, this is the main point in web development. There is nothing called, okay, I will create an application from scratch. You will create from a starter, and this is the starter we created from the beginning. So I showed you this to understand and open your own application and do, like at least install it and play with Ionic. And why you are not using Ionic in Android and iOS, this is, it will be a later, but in general now we are using Ionic as a web developers. So we are using only this part of like the framework itself. So we are using only this file, the www file, and we are just coding to be a web developers. So what's required from you guys for the next one, the next preparation lecture, to enter and work with the project itself, you need to create your own surah, HTML, and understand the coloring and CSS, and add it to the menu and go through all the stuff that we have in the first lecture. And this is also an extra point for you, at least like if you want to go through the stuff. Here we have, I will attach all the stuff. Here you have like the Quran URL, so you can go to the Mushaf Altahjod URL and see what's the number of ayah, and you can go through the previous like surah and take some copy from it, whatever. And you can go to also this website. It can give you the surah in HTML or the text of the surah, so you can copy from here. This is also another hint. And also there is something called Colorzilla. It's like let's call it Firefox for the colors. You can add it to your Firefox and just take the color that you want. I will leave it for you also as a homework. Maybe you can work with it, but this is not required because we will have it together. But during that time, at least you must go through all the stuff. And as you see, guys, you have like the file here, like the main Mushaf Altahjod copy. Here the HTML you can, or not the HTML, the text that you can copy, and this is the color. And I will leave it for you to create your own surah and try to add some content inside it and try to use the coloring and try to use the previous example. This is the homework. I think now we are finished. So after this, inshallah, after you finish all the stuff, you submit this and you send it for me. We will go to the next lecture, inshallah. And after it, inshallah, you will enter the whole project and you will start understanding all the stuff inside, like the process itself. Thank you for listening, and good luck.